It is a painful experience to sacrifice your time, money, or emotional energy for someone, only for that same person to eventually criticize you, turn against you, or walk away entirely. We are raised to believe that supporting someone during a crisis creates an unbreakable bond. We assume that loyalty follows support. Over a century ago, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche observed a different reality. He argued that receiving significant help rarely guarantees gratitude. Instead, it frequently drives the recipient to resent and eventually despise the person who saved them. This raises an unsettling question. What happens beneath the surface of a good deed? What psychological tripwire is crossed that forces a hand extended in kindness to trigger hostility? Understanding these dynamics reveals the hidden laws of human behavior. To ignore them is to ensure you will be used and discarded again. Significant support alters the invisible balance of power. Giving changes the relationship's dynamic. A strict hierarchy takes shape. You are elevated to the one who can, while the person you help is pushed into the subordinate position of the one who needs. Nietzsche built much of his philosophy around the will to power, the driving necessity within all humans to feel autonomous, capable, and strong. Receiving charity is a direct assault on this drive. The help you provide forces the recipient to look into a mirror that reflects their own failure and inability to cope. By playing the savior, you become a permanent reminder of their vulnerability. You have witnessed them at their weakest, and for many fragile egos, being seen in that state is intolerable. What you intended as a selfless act is registered by their subconscious as a humiliation. You have trapped them in a subordinate role, and they will eventually feel a desperate need to break free. This need to escape follows a predictable life cycle. It begins with gratitude, but over time it ferments into a heavy, unpayable emotional debt. Because it cannot be settled, it triggers internal tension. It decays into embarrassment, guilt, and finally a deep sense of inferiority. The human mind rejects this level of psychological discomfort. To prevent total ego collapse, the recipient must find a way to reclaim their perceived power and balance the scales. Their defense mechanism is brutal. As Nietzsche observed, the weak mind will transform its own powerlessness into a twisted form of moral superiority, searching for a scapegoat to justify its inner turmoil. The cruelest irony of this cycle is that the easiest, most logical target for them to blame and criticize is the very person holding the mirror. They target you. The resulting betrayal is a reflexive survival tactic. By destroying the relationship, the fragile ego successfully destroys the emotional debt. If you have experienced this sequence of events, it does not mean you committed a moral failure. It simply proves that emotional debt is too heavy for most people to carry. Nietzsche's writings offer an implicit solution. We must change how we offer assistance so that it stops breeding dependency. We must move away from the role of the savior. True power enables others to participate in their own solution, providing the tools they need to stop requiring external rescue. This requires strict, practical boundaries. Offer help without expecting eternal gratitude. Never remind them of your sacrifices. And crucially, never give to the point where it unbalances your own stability. Emotional maturity demands that we give freely while accepting a hard truth. A strong person appreciates assistance, but a weak person will always experience it as a threat. Wisdom in any relationship means recognizing that helping someone is not the same as saving them. Sometimes the greatest act of love is stepping back so they can learn to carry their own weight.